And Department of Engineering, Jeff Crow. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Bart.
Good to see you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so normally Troy White is here. He's been promoted. He's your new boss now.
Yes, he has.
So one of the things he wanted to do is have you share the television load. So that's why you're here today.
Mm-hmm.
And you're fairly new on the job at the city.
Yeah, so I've been with Jackson for a little bit over a year now, and we've got a lot going on. We got a lot of water main reconstruction, a lot of bridge work, street reconstruction. So I'm really here to help out and give Jackson the hand that it really needs to support these projects.
Great. Well, I like your enthusiasm because I agree we do have a lot to accomplish. What was it about Jackson that attracted you?
Well, I'm not born and raised in Jackson. I reside in Dexter here. But Jackson, it's got quite a lot of history to it. We know that it was founded in the late 1800s, but most of our infrastructure here was in the teens and then the 20s. In reality, we have about 170 miles of water main pipe here in Jackson, and over half of it is a century old. Our streets some of them are a century old too as well before they get a new coat of pavement. So the history is here, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Some of those old water mains, they are so old that they're made out of wood. Are they still in use?
No, not that I know of. I mean, if we find it, I'm going to be surprised. I'm going to be the first one in the field to take photos of it because that's such a historical landmark. But I'm all ears when I hear if we have something to look at.
We've got the lead line replacement underway in a multi-year project. In fact, your contractor contacted us here at JTV, and they want to come in and take a look and see what we have and maybe begin the replacement.
Man, we have so many lead lines to go, and it's just really par for the course for a city of this size and population. It's not just a goal for us to get all those lead lines out, but it's a requirement too as well by the state of Michigan. So we're all hands on deck, and we continue to do so in a reasonable time frame. It's not a water safety or quality issue by any means. We have extensive testing. We test our water routinely, and so we're allowed to get the funding we need to get in place, develop a plan, not so that we can do it fast, but we can do it right.
What type of engineer are you?
I'm a geotech engineer at heart, so anything soils related and in the ground infrastructure, that's my bread and butter, and I believe it's a great place for me to be here for that.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Minnesota State Mankato. I was born and raised in Minnesota, Stillwater, Minnesota. So you may tell by my accent, I may have some strong A's and O's as we go through these interviews, but it's par for the course when you meet Minnesotans like myself.
Yeah, Minnesota. That's how you say it.
There you go.
And you spent some time in North Dakota too.
Yes. So I spent my very first part of my career, a little bit about 2 years in the oil fields out in North Dakota, specifically Williston, the oil capital there. I helped out develop some oil pads in regards to consulting and compaction testing, as well as the apartment buildings there to facilitate all the folks who come in out of state from Texas to support the oil fields out in North Dakota. So it was a great experience, and so I'm here now.
It's great that you brought all that experience with you.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, had these, I think they were called man camps.
Oh yeah, so, well, it was probably pre-2015 when folks come up from Texas, you gotta house all these guys, and so what they do, the quick and dirty approach is just they get some RVs together, bunch them up, and just house as many as possible. But as of late in North Dakota, those have been banned for good reason, and so what's going on now is there's big, quite boom in apartment complexes to house all of the workers in a safe and reliable fashion.
Great. All right, so this is the start of our construction season. In Minnesota, it might start a little later, but even though we're starting, it's potentially going to snow tonight, but projects must go on. Today we're going to look at, I think, a couple or so projects that we have, and one is, we actually talked, I think, with MDOT, Skelby Wallace, yesterday about this bridge replacement.
Yes, the Cooper Street Bridge, that is an MDOT project. We have a closure down from Washington to Michigan on Cooper Street, and it is a bridge replacement project. However, there's a transmission main that runs alongside Cooper, goes from, well, it has quite a long alignment here, but this transmission main in particular is vital, not to just us as a city, but it also serves parts of Leone, parts of Blackman Township, parts of Summit Township. And so while we have the work zone in place and this closure in effect, we try to tackle all infrastructure underground, so we don't have to close the intersection and do it again. So what you're seeing here now is a lot of excavation work, but really there's still a lot of bridge work to be done. All of this work is strictly water main replacement while we get the old line out of service and then we put the new line in service. Right now we do have a temporary bridge supporting a temporary water main. I'm sure Kelby mentioned something, oh, well there it is right there. That's what we got going on to support our folks here while we continue with this project. The look ahead, we do got some bridge replacement work to do, so we should have some abutments for the new bridge in place come July. We should have the bridge superstructure in place toward the end of September. But in reality, it's still going to look like a messy work zone until we get some new concrete pavement, until we get some new signage, some new street lights. It's all going to come together toward the end of October. Hopefully we'll have it open to traffic in November.
Now, was it a surprise to find the things like the water main and sanitary lines and all those things within the bridge?
Well, not necessarily. It's usually a cost-effective solution. There's other alternatives. You can always go underneath a river. However, we have some significant bedrock here in Jackson, so it is appropriate to do that type of work. But with these heavy infrastructure projects, you really don't know what you come across until you excavate. Yes, we call in mistakes and utility clearance, and we look at as-built and try to find exactly what infrastructure is there. But who knows, you might encounter a sanitary sewer that's deep in that just wasn't documented at the time of installation. And that was an issue that they encountered about a few weeks ago. But we have the right team there. We know how to address it. Because in reality, with these heavy, deep city infrastructure projects, you're bound to find one or two pipe that's just not documented appropriately.
That area is an area of some of the early industry of Jackson. Mm-hmm. So a lot of contamination in the soil, potentially?
Yeah, so we do have to dig quite deep in order to connect our temporary water main to the existing water main that we have in place. And so when we have to do that, there's going to be people in that excavation. So we have to dewater that excavation. And in order to do the dewatering, we got to assume that that groundwater is contaminated because it is in a heavy industry zone. And so what we do is we dewater to make sure that the sides, the slopes of the excavation don't fall in on any laborers, and make sure it gets done appropriately in a timely manner.
It's a big pipe. I mean, the diameter of that's the water main. That's about as main as you can get, isn't it?
It's a heavy water transmission main. It's one of the most critical pieces we have in the city of Jackson.
And you've also got another water transmission project on Pearl Street.
Yes, and so the piece on Cooper that we're replacing, it will connect to this new piece that we're installing right now. There's going to be a 16-inch water transmission main that's going to go alongside Pearl. Right now we have Pearl Street closed to through traffic, though it is open to local traffic. We have doctors' offices and businesses who rely on patrons. So we ensure that there is one lane of free flow traffic, I should say. But we do have a closure right now from Cooper all the way down to Waterloo. And this current state, they're replacing the water distribution main, which is an 8-inch smaller water main pipe. And the reason for that is when we close down these streets, we try to tackle all the infrastructure below grade, so we don't have to come in next year and then replace another, and then come next year, replace another. We're really trying to tackle all infrastructure as we can while we have the closure.
And you plan on putting a new street surface?
We are only replacing the pavement that we disturb here.
Okay.
It's only a water main reconstruction project. The funding wasn't there for the street work itself.
All right, well, part of the street will be new.
That's right, yes.
We've got another water distribution project going a little further north, Pleasant Street and Pringle. And I think I think that's actually that might be a
Yeah.
concrete street too, isn't it?
No, but, so we got an asphalt street here, but what they're doing is they're performing some directional drilling for some conduit in place. So you'll see the water tank there, and then they'll directional bore. But this piece on Pleasant Street from Pringle all the way down to Dale, this is a water main. We're going to replace the 4-inch antiquated water main on this street, but not just this street. This is part of a bigger package with 10 streets and 13 blocks. We're prioritizing the old, outdated, cast iron 4-inch undersized water mains throughout several streets, and we have so much work to do, not just this year, but the next year and beyond. And the reason for that is a 4-inch line that was constructed in 1920s, the inside diameter is not 4 inches anymore. And I'm sure the residents can attest to that when they see their water pressure at their shower. We can attest to that by when we do the annual hydrant flushings. And we see the residue from the minerals, the little rust color coming out. It's a critical piece of infrastructure for these guys that we need to replace.
It's like barnacles.
Yes, but one block at a time, really.
All right, and so the water, as soon as it's done, they'll turn on the shower, and it's going to be
It's going to be
hallelujah.
noticeable yes, as soon as we hook them up, because it's really a 10-step process where we go, we put signing up, and we to make sure folks know that, hey, we're coming in, we're replacing the water main. And then if there's some old clay sanitary sewer, we'll replace that too as well. And then we'll install the water main pipe. We try to directional drill the water main pipe, and the reason for that is it just creates less disturbance, less dust.
It's like fracking.
In a way, yes, yes. But once the water main's in place, we pressure test it to make sure it's free of leaks. We disinfect it, we flush it, we test it to make sure it's free of harmful bacteria.
Do you have a ceremonial first drink after the water goes through it?
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
I'm not volunteering.
Of course.
All right, one more project. This is, I think, something that's been going on for a handful of years throughout the city, is replacing the intersection single signals. And are we putting in those giant black mast arms here too?
Well, what you're looking at right now is the signal upgrades for the Lansing at North intersection. This is a signal upgrade for safety. This one is going to get the steel strain poles, but it's going to still have those box span wires here. It's just what the funding allowed us to do so. But the main priority for this is safety. We want to make sure that we have a reliable signal, and there's a secondary benefit too as well. There's going to be much less maintenance costs, and it's going to be much more aesthetically pleasing once we have the new pavement markings in place, once we have the new ramps in place. It's not just this intersection, it's part of a bigger picture again. Lansing at Clinton Hill intersection, that's going to get the same treatment too as well. You mentioned mast arms, those black mast arms. We're going to give that treatment over to the Jackson and Ganson intersection, as well as the Lansing and Monroe intersection. And what that does is, it is our standard that we try to do for every intersection if the funding allows for it. But that also helps even greater visibility. It's more aesthetically pleasing, and it's even lower maintenance costs and more resistant to the extreme wind loads that we can get here occasionally.
Yes, and that's we've had a record wind for our spring this year in Michigan.
Yeah.
So if you think it's been windy, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it sounds like you guys have a very busy spring and summer. Thanks for coming in and getting us updated.
Thank you, Bart. Thanks.
You bet. From the City of Jackson Engineering Department, Jeff Crow.